From the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., this is Rewind. This week, the Libyan ambassador quickly condemned the attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi.
We are very sorry for what happened. We will do everything possible to help that we have better relation, better protection to the American diplomat and to the international community who is working in our country.
Newt Gingrich criticized the Department of State for their national security stance toward Iran.
We need a very fundamental national debate about the nature of our enemies and about the institutional weakness of our national security system in dealing with those enemies. I am very concerned that the culture of the State Department makes it almost impossible to deal realistically with the kind of opponents we're up against. So I would urge them both to rethink our national security apparatus and how it's approaching the problem of fundamental threats to us. And I would ask them, in the case of Iran, to adopt a very explicit and clear goal of regime change.
Speaking to a luncheon, Tony Perkins, president of the socially conservative Christian lobby group, responded to last month's attack on his organization.
Many may have been hoping that the threats and the harassment and now this attack would cause us to just leave. Well, let me be very clear. We are not going anywhere.
Perkins expressed his support of the Republican presidential nominee.
When it comes to the values of the family, values of faith, and values of freedom, Mitt Romney is the clear choice, I think, for value voters across this country.
At Thursday's luncheon, Teamster President James Hoffa focused on the importance of the upcoming election.
Because this election is really going to decide everything. It's going to decide whether the rich get richer or whether we're going to have food stamps, whether we're going to have Social Security, whether we're going to have Medicare. It's going to be a watershed in this country.
Hoffa views the Tea Party as having contributed to the increasing polarization of political parties.
It really is coming out of what's called the Tea Party. We didn't have this type of attack with Republicans or Democrats. You didn't have it 10 years ago. And all of a sudden, there's this tidal wave of attacks on organized labor and basically almost a cultural change that we see going on in this country.
He criticized the huge amounts of money spent on the election campaigns.
And this unlimited money is unbalancing the entire political spectrum. So something has to be done about that. And I suggest that we're going to have a constitutional amendment to change that.
A panel of civic leaders analyzed the role of Latino voters in this year's election.
Indeed, Latinos are showing the highest rates of growth in voter registration and voting in every cycle. The economy and jobs is the overarching issue for Latinos, and over the last at least 10 years, if you look at polls, normally education and the economy are the top two issues.
The Surgeon General joined the National Strategy for Suicide Prevention to report on the alarming death rates.
Every day, nearly 100 Americans die by suicide. And in the past year, more than 8 million Americans thought seriously about suicide. And that doesn't include the 16% of all high school students who report having seriously considered it.
From the National Press Club, where news happens, this is Rewind. I'm Phil Cordes.